and welcome to Ag PhD. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for joining us today. Well, as it's getting toward the end of the year, we start getting lots of questions about prepay. Farmers will ask, well, should I prepay? What are the risks to prepaying? We want to talk about some of those things today.
Well, one of the things they may be considering, Brian, is nutrients, and one of the most misunderstood nutrients is iron. We're going to talk about why we're seeing some iron issues out in the field and what you can do to fix it.
Well, we've got a fun weed of the week to control later in the show, as well as our iron talk. But first, here's today's Farm Basics.
Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
Where do you get good information about farming and agronomy? Well, we hope you can join us this winter to get our information on agronomy and some agronomy tips going into 2018.
You know what, Brian? We've been in this a long time. We've been farming for a long time, yet every year it seems like there's so many new things, new traits that are coming out, new ways of using products, and new ways for farmers to improve yields without having to spend a whole bunch more money.
Right, absolutely. So agronomy is really a big topic. We have a lot of things to cover at this year's Ag PhD Agronomy Workshops. We have a number of those around the country. We certainly hope you can join us. We put these on free every year as just kind of a way to say thank you for watching Ag PhD, for listening to us on Ag PhD Radio. We really, really appreciate it. And it also gives us a good opportunity to interact with farmers from all over the country. We get tremendous questions that really help shape Ag PhD over the course of the next year.
Well, we're learning so much every year, and it's fun. When we think about resistant weeds and some of these new traits and challenges that we've had with some of the new traits, it's good to get that input from farmers that have different crops around them and different climates and these types of things, because we can bring all that knowledge back to one spot where, hey, here's what we're seeing in this climate and this situation and this crop rotation, and here's how it could impact you.
So we will talk about the biggest topic really in 2017, which was the dicamba. We'll talk about some of the new label changes. We'll talk about the yield increases with dicamba and about the yield losses as well and what we learned from 2017, so 2018 can be a lot better. We'll also cover a number of different crops. It really depends on the area of the country we're going to. If your area has a lot of wheat, for example, we're going to talk a lot more about wheat than we will in the areas that raise primarily just corn and soybeans.
And there are a lot of changes in the ag chemical industry with all the big mergers and buyouts and so forth. There are some products that used to be too expensive to use that now are cheap. And you may completely change what you do to control certain weeds or certain bugs because of how much money you could save.
So at these agronomy workshops, we talk about chemistry primarily in terms of weed control, disease control, insect control, and then in addition to that, a number of other agronomic topics, including giving you the results on our high yield plots where we had some of the highest yielding farmers in the world at our Ag PhD Field Day last summer. So we certainly hope you can join us for one of the Ag PhD Agronomy Workshops coming up in January.
It will be a day well spent, no doubt. One of the things that we will talk about that day is controlling our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?
We love the quality, we love the construction. We're looking forward to working with MORTON in the future.
They have this down to a science. They know exactly what you want. They know how to make it happen. It's an easy process.
I would definitely recommend MORTON. From the first time I met the salesman to the last nail that the crew put in, it has been a positive and professional experience.
I'm so happy I found MORTON because they just make the job so easy.
Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Leading the charge in strip tillage for more than a decade, the Soil Warrior brings the future to your farm today.
Being a farmer means securing your land and livelihood for the future. Harvest Solutions from Capello USA have the grit to get you there. Our product lines for corn, sunflowers, and forage are designed for efficiency and longevity, preventing harvest loss while minimizing maintenance and downtime. To do everything you can to advance your farmland to the next generation, call us at 855-CAPELLO or visit us at capellousa.com. Capello USA, Italian craftsmanship, American grit.
Introducing the SoilMax ZD48, the newest addition to the SoilMax Gold Digger lineup. The first plow designed for smaller class tractors, the ZD48 has been tested on tractors weighing between 10,000 and 16,000 pounds with excellent results. Designed for row crop farms, vineyards, irrigation, and specialty crop farms. The SoilMax ZD48 will install tile up to 48 inches deep, as well as install 3 or 4-inch tile. The ZD48 truly opens up the world of tile installation to more farms than ever before.
Avoid dry run failures with the new Hi-Pro Force Field pump. Providing the ultimate protection, this wet seal pump will save you on costly in-season downtime to keep your sprayer running. Now all you have to worry about is the weather. Hi-Pro, helping you spray better.
Grow your incentives, not weeds. Earn an additional $6 per acre in cash back when you apply XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology on your Roundup Ready 2 Xtend soybeans, along with endorsed herbicides from Roundup Ready Plus Crop Management Solutions. Now you have the right tools to manage weeds and your bottom line. Visit GrowYourIncentives.com to see your total incentives opportunity.
A big question almost every year with farmers is, should I prepay or should I not? Today we're going to talk a little about the advantages and disadvantages to prepaying your inputs.
All right, Brian, I'm going to start with the disadvantage side of this because, you know, when you spend your money and you give it to somebody else, they now have control. And what if a better deal comes up out there and I decide not to do it? Or what if I change crops? Or what if I can't get my crop in? This is a big fear for some guys, and many times they'll say, you know, I'm just going to hold on to that money tightly because I don't want to lose control of
Well,
things.
I get that, but you need to talk to your retailer first and ask him or her those same exact questions. What does happen if you have money left over? What does happen if you have to make product changes? And really, quite frankly, the biggest question that I'm worried about and the biggest disadvantage I see is what happens if the retailer goes bankrupt? How financially sound is that retailer? Because let's face it, when you prepay, you probably have zero collateral.
That is a scary thing. And you know, you think about it, do you want to take all that product? And certainly seed, you could take early. There's no issue at all with that, other than, you know, if you have a rodent infestation or something, but that can be pretty easily managed. When you look at some of the chemistry things, there are certainly products that can be allowed to be in cold temperatures and others that can't. So you could take a good chunk of what you're going to be prepaying for if you really want to have product on hand.
All right, let's go to the advantages of prepaying. The number one reason why a lot of farmers do this is because of the tax incentive that there is to do it. Now, if you're a non-farmer watching our show today, you say, what? How is it that farmers are the only ones that get to use cash accounting and literally all they have to do is prepay for more of their inputs and they can lower their tax bill immediately? So for example, if a farmer prepays $100,000 for seed, his net income goes down $100,000 this year and he pays less tax. That's not fair. Well, let's look at the flip side of this thing. Why does the government promote this? Well, number one, the farmer doesn't know exactly what's going to happen in terms of income each year. One year the farmer might make $200,000 and you say, oh, farmers are rich. But the next year the farmer might lose $150,000 and you say, uh-oh, the farmer's broke. Okay, so this is a way for the farmer to kind of income average. The other reason why the government encourages prepaying is the only way the farmer gets the tax break this year, and keep in mind, all he's doing is delaying his taxes. Eventually he's going to have to pay them. But in order to lower his tax bill this year, he has to put cash into the economy. The government wants cash into the economy. That's great to stimulate the entire economy. So there are absolutely reasons why the government loves seeing farmers prepay.
When you said the biggest reason farmers prepay, Brian, I was thinking about something else. And sure, there are tax ramifications of when you're spending your money for your crop inputs. But the thing I was thinking about is there are some tight supply products this year, whether it's some of the newer herbicides that are out there or some of the new pesticides that are out there, or seed. Wow, there were some seed issues in production this year with seed corn where there's going to be some numbers that are really in tight supply. I would be taking mine right now. I'm nervous about that. Also with soybean seed, for example, this year there are some areas with disease and extreme weather where production numbers were less than what companies were hoping for. So there are some areas where soybean seed may be even in tight supply, especially for some of the new numbers that are out there and some of the new traits that farmers are switching to. So for me, I'm looking at, I want to get certain products. The best way for me to do that is to take them early. The other thing is price. There are cheaper prices when you prepay and buy things early. Why? Because retailers want to get things locked up. They want to have that business, and they're often getting incentives from manufacturers and suppliers to prepay early as well, and they're passing it on to their farmer customers. So for me and for our farm, we like to prepay everything because we want to get the lowest price of the season. That's very important.
All right, so once again, there are certainly advantages, good advantages to prepaying. We talked about reducing taxes, at least in the short term, and certainly getting your seed locked up or your crop protection products so you have those, and price is a big deal. But on the flip side, look at the disadvantages. Make sure you're working with a retailer you can trust, or take the product immediately. Once you have the product, okay, well now you're safe. The biggest risk then you have is, can you return it? Can you exchange it? Are you still going to get a good deal? All those types of things. So there are many things to consider when it comes to prepaying, but it is something we do on our farm, and we would encourage you to at least take a look at on your farm as well.
Well, some of the products you may be prepaying for could be used to control our weed of the week. We'll show you how to stop this tough weed later in the show.
About 2 or 3 years ago, I went ahead and I started planting nothing but Liberty, and I haven't regretted it since. We've had no problems with resistance. All the resistance mare's tail that we had out there, velvet leaf or cockleburs or pigweed, I clean up the fields. I didn't have to go back. One application took care of the weeds. If I wasn't getting control on weeds and would have to fight it all year long, I wouldn't hesitate to guess that we'd probably be losing at least 25% of yield. First time I ever used Liberty Link beans, I had it right next to Roundup beans. The Liberty Link beans were standing about twice as tall. They had twice as many pods on it. That was the thing that sold me on it. If it can do it there on that tough ground, let's just start spreading it over the whole place. And that's what I did, and I went 100% and I haven't looked back.
And now we have Jenny in the field talking with Farmer Dave.
Thanks, Don. Dave, you're mid-harvest. What are you seeing from the combine? Are you happy with your choice of agri-liquid fertilizers?
I like what I'm seeing. The weather didn't help much this year, and we didn't get the rain when we needed it. But my yields are good and the test weights remain high. It helps that my agri-liquid fed crops are consistent across the field.
So what are you thinking for next year?
I'll be sticking with my agri-liquid team.
Back to you, Don.
Let's face it, Joe. Some of these guys aren't easy to play. Biologicals are expensive. Humates and plant growth regulators are messy.
Yeah, but AgroLiquid has 4 new players that have really eliminated those problems. The Primer Go line has helped their team realize the benefits.
Wait, so season-long nutrition and optimized yields while creating a biologically active soil?
That's right. Primer Go line is a fantastic addition to AgroLiquid's stellar team.
For the last few weeks here on Ag PhD, we've been talking about a number of different nutrients that are important to all crops. Today we're going to focus on iron, and yes, I realize it's a micronutrient. It's not as important as N, P, and K, or at least that's what many people believe. But let's put it this way. If I have enough N, P, and K for 300 bushel corn, and I only have enough iron for 200 bushel corn, guess what my yield's going to be? 200. So iron is tremendously important, and that's why we feel like we need to discuss this today and get into how much do you actually need for iron. First of all, what we always want you to do when looking at any nutrient is go to the Ag PhD Fertilizer Removal app. It's a free download for your smartphone or your tablet. when you take a look at that, you're going to see, boy, it doesn't look like my crop needs a whole lot of iron in total. No, it probably doesn't. But also keep in mind, iron doesn't move around super easily in the soil like nitrogen or sulfur or something like that. So you're not going to access even close to all the iron that's in the soil. Anyway, a lot of times what we're looking for is at least 20 to 40 parts per million of iron on a soil test. And we always want to make sure the iron levels are higher than the manganese levels, otherwise we start to run into issues there as well.
Well, iron is a really important nutrient, and whenever we're trying to build up different nutrients out in the soil, maybe it's zinc on your farm, maybe it's copper. If you're adding a good chunk of 1 micro, iron seems to be that buffer. And as long as your iron levels are good, we don't normally have any problems trying to build up 1 micro or the other. If our iron levels are really short, this is where we often run into issues. So many of the blends that we see of micronutrients also contain a pretty high amount of iron relative to the other nutrients that are in that blend. And this is really one of those reasons that we've seen better luck with micronutrient additions as long as we have good levels of iron.
About 10 years ago or so, when we started getting into a lot of grid sampling on our farm and really looking harder at micronutrients, we noticed that in terms of iron, we were in great shape in a lot of areas on our farm, except for a few spots. And I thought, man, why do we have such good levels of iron? And then I remembered, oh yeah, in all these areas where we have really high iron levels, that's where we've spread lime. Well, we don't just get regular ag lime, we get water treatment lime. Well, what is water treatment lime also high in? Iron. There's a lot of iron that comes through that water treatment lime. So we were getting that iron for free. We were just thinking, oh, hey, we need to raise our soil pH. So we did that. The calcium carbonate was great. Really nice fine material, that water treatment lime. So that was all excellent. But then the side benefit was we got a whole bunch of iron. So here's the reason why I bring this up. Yes, it may cost you some money to put iron out on your soil. Or you may be able to get some other product that has some iron in it just as kind of this byproduct, just as kind of a sideline thing that you get for nothing. If you can happen to luck out and get that, boy, you're in great shape, because I know for our farm, we have had to spend very little money over the years on iron, yet we've really built our soils up to a nice level.
You may be thinking, wait a minute, they haven't even talked about iron deficiency chlorosis and all those conditions that lead to that. Let's talk about that just a little bit. When we've got crops like soybeans, for example, that you see yellow areas out in the field and you realize, wow, that's my poorly drained, high nitrate level, high pH soil, you know, these kinds of problems, high carbonates and bicarbonates building up in my soil. What's going on in those spots, and why can't I get iron into my plant in the right form?
Well, the form is the whole key. When we start talking about iron, there's a ferrous form and a ferric form. And here's the whole problem. If your soil pH is high, then you're going to get iron in the wrong form, and that's not what we want. So get your pH down. How are you going to get your pH down? The number one thing that we're always talking to people about is drainage. Once you fix your drainage problem, then you can go ahead with something like elemental sulfur, possibly even high rates of ammonium sulfate. Maybe gypsum will help. There are some things you can absolutely do to lower your pH. We've done it on our farm. I know you can do it as well if you really stick your dollars into it and put your mind to it. Once you get the pH below 7, now you're going to find if you already had decent soil levels of iron, that iron is all of a sudden going to come available. The yellow spots in your soybeans are going to go away. You will not have iron deficiency chlorosis once your pH is below 7.
Now in the short term, you have to plant a tolerant variety. Use something like soy green, where you've got an ortho chelated iron that you can put right in the furrow. Use the full rate, don't cut the rate back, and you'll see pretty good green soybeans throughout the season. But again, you've got to do both of those things right, and then, like Brian said, deal with all those long-term issues as well.
Okay, here's one other thing we want you to do in addition to soil testing, lowering your pH, all that. Tissue test. Use plant tissue analysis and find out how you're doing. But here's the thing with plant tissue analysis too. Well, really a couple of things. Number one is if you don't clean the dirt off your leaves, if you end up with dirt getting onto your leaves, your iron levels on your tissue test might be through the roof. That's what happened to us the very first tissue sample we sent in 15, 20 years ago. So make sure your leaves have been cleaned with distilled water if they have dirt on them. In addition, you might find that there is iron in the plant, but again, it might be in the wrong form, so that's why sometimes even yellow soybeans that you know are affected by iron deficiency chlorosis, it looks like they have iron in the plant, so it does become a little bit misleading. Again, you've got a ferrous form and a ferric form, so get your pH down, that's going to help. Otherwise, use some iron chelate.
Iron is a very important micronutrient for your plant. If you're short in iron, you definitely have to get more out there. And like Brian identified, there are certain situations where iron can be tough to get into the plant in your field. So deal with them. You will see a difference in your yield and performance in the field.
Well, the other thing that's going to help you with yield is if you control our Weed of the Week. We'll talk about it coming up next.
The Weed of the Week is brought to you by Dow AgroSciences. Finish the fight against tough weeds with the Enlist Weed Control System.
Weeds are tough, but we're tougher. With unrivaled weed control, reduced drift, and near zero volatility. So, who's tough now?
Our Weed of the Week is common cocklebur.
It used to be one of the biggest weed problems we had on our farm. When we were kids, we would be pulling cockleburs all summer, it seemed like, in our soybean fields. But in our cornfields, we didn't have much trouble. Even back then when we were kids, we had 2,4-D and mainly dicamba at that point that we were using, and it was doing an effective job even all those years ago.
Yeah, so that was great in corn, but in soybeans, we had to go pull them. And you know what? Cocklebur actually wasn't the most difficult weed to pull. It looked a little scary. It had spots on the stem and everything, and we thought, oh man, what's going on here? But that's just the way cocklebur was. You'd yank it out. It's just an annual weed. It wasn't that big a deal. It's just, unfortunately, we'd have cocklebur after cocklebur after cocklebur. We got pretty strong backs after that, let's put it that way.
Well, here's the thing. When you're spraying cocklebur with post-emerge broadcast herbicides now, getting good coverage on all those leaves can be a challenge. Cocklebur can really bush out. So like most weeds, we say we want to control them when they're small. And you hear all this stuff about trying to control weeds when they're 2 to 6 inches tall, and with most herbicides. Why is that? Because we have fewer growing points to get to.
Well, here's the other thing. I look at the pre-emerge use of products, and a lot of farmers say, well, I want a one-pass system. Well, that's great, except for the large-seeded broadleaves. Large-seeded broadleaves like cocklebur can germinate deeper in the soil. You're not going to get a strong enough rate down there to kill them pre-emerge. Certainly you can reduce the issue pre-emerge, but you're going to have a good post-product if you have many cocklebur on your farm.
All right, let's go to soybeans right away, and let's talk about the pre-emerge. What I have liked, Brian, has been Metribuzz. Now, we used to use twice the rate that we do today, and we did okay on cocklebur.
Yep, so anyway, we tell you use the 3 pre's in soybeans, follow up with something like Roundup, Liberty, maybe, you know, you can use the new Enlist, Extend, all those things. In corn, we'd prefer to see Verdict down. It's got Sharpen in it, that will help some, and then post-emerge status. In wheat, go Sharpen down, follow with Huskie post-emerge.
That's all the time we have for this week's weed, but Iron Talk is coming up next.
There are 6,272,640 square inches in an acre. We counted. Why? Because we designed the TigerMate 255 field cultivator and 2000 series early riser planter to maximize every single one. So when you create the most level seedbed in the industry and target a nickel-size area to plant a seed and never miss, you'll know in high-efficiency farming, there's one name to count on: Case IH. Rethink productivity. Learn more at caseih.com/everyinch.
N, P, and K. They're critical for a healthy crop. Improve their availability and your yield potential with QuickRoots Microbial Seed Inoculant. QuickRoots Technology contains 2 powerful microbes that can help improve access to key nutrients, and it's available in an easy-to-apply formulation. Simply mix it directly into your dry planter box and your seeds will be covered. Learn more at monsantobioag.com/QuickRoots.
Are you looking for an easy way to apply dry powdered products to your stored grain? Do you want to use the applicator recommended by industry leaders for products like Diacon D and other dry powder products? Changing Time CT applicators successfully apply a diversity of products quickly, easily, and accurately. The innovative CT applicators are designed to give you the most accurate application of products such as talc, inoculants, fertilizers, and other dry products. For commercial use or on the farm, you need the applicator industry leaders are using. CT applicators for the changing times.
Grow your incentives, not weeds. Earn an additional $6 per acre in cash back when you apply XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology on your Roundup Ready 2 Xtend soybeans, along with endorsed herbicides from Roundup Ready Plus Crop Management Solutions. Now you have the right tools to manage weeds and your bottom line. Visit GrowYourIncentives.com to see your total incentives opportunity.
Introducing the SoilMax ZD48, the newest addition to the SoilMax Gold Digger lineup. The first plow designed for smaller class tractors, the ZD48 has been tested on tractors weighing between 10,000 and 16,000 pounds with excellent results. Designed for row crop farms, vineyards, irrigation, and specialty crop farms. The SoilMax ZD48 will install tile up to 48 inches deep, as well as install 3 or 4-inch tile. The ZD48 truly opens up the world of tile installation to more farms than ever before.
The buzz on this line is probably the best in 10 years, both in soil and in the plant. Joe, you've been doing this for a while. What's your take?
Well, Don, you take a player like High Energy N, 3 forms of nitrogen, plus sulfur and iron, with slow release technology, he's making plays all season long.
Oh, look at his numbers. He's getting it done.
But don't forget about in response. This guy's designed for a quick release nitrogen.
It's looking like another championship season for Agro Liquid.
Iron Talk is brought to you by Case IH.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
When I was a kid, we had pigs and cattle on the farm. In the winter, feeding them was a challenge, in part because we needed to get equipment started and it was so cold. One of the key things we needed to learn was how batteries work. I'll share some of that in today's Iron Talk. They say a good battery should last 5 or even 8 years with proper care and operation. Here are a few tips when selecting and caring for your batteries. First, test the batteries before they fail. On our farm, that's always meant either right before harvest or right before the cold of winter, and certainly ahead of planting time. If a battery won't hold a full charge, replace it. Next, when choosing a battery, get one that fits the way you'll use it. Let's face it, you're operating off-road, so pick a battery specifically built to handle that type of operation. All the bouncing around of driving through a pasture, a crop field, or just down a gravel road takes its toll on a battery. Keep your batteries clean. A damp rag is typically sufficient to wipe off acid and junk that can cause the battery to run out of power more quickly. Keep batteries filled with distilled water up to recommended levels. Disconnect batteries when not in use. Some farmers have had good luck using a trickle charger or a maintenance charger to keep batteries full of juice and ready to go. But remember, these are two totally different things. With a trickle charger, you still need to unhook it to avoid overcharging. The maintenance charger is almost a hook the battery up and forget it kind of thing. Use caution with either of these types of chargers and strictly follow the manufacturer's recommendations for use. Take care of your battery, and it will take care of you this winter and throughout the season. That's all for today's Iron Talk, and now back to the show.
Closed captioning for Ag PhD is sponsored by Norwood Sales.
If you're looking to expand your farm's grain handling, you want everything to be fast and efficient. The Quick Belt from Norwood Sales is your all-around grain handling solution. Our conveyor-based system uses an 18-inch belt and a 10-inch tube, which minimizes seed damage while moving more than 10,000 bushels an hour. That's fast enough to fill a semi in 6 minutes. Plus, our hood is designed to gently direct the flow of grain straight down, keeping your crop in condition. Keep your grain and your farm moving with the Quick Belt from Norwood Sales.
That's our time for today's show, but before we go, we want to invite you to tune into the Ag PhD radio show, where we take your live phone calls each weekday on SiriusXM Channel 147 at 2 p.m. Central.
And don't miss the next Ag PhD TV show. We'll have another Weed of the Week, Farm Basics, Iron Talk, and a whole lot more. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for watching Ag PhD.
Did you realize that a healthy soil only contains about 50% dirt? In order for the soil microbes and plants to work together properly, soil should contain 25% air and 25% water. Today's farming practices are designed around maintaining that healthy balance. To learn more, visit rnmf.org.